Welcome to Bundesliga Chat Time from We Are Soccer. I'm Craig Hearn, and I'm joined, as usual, by our Bundesliga expert, Nate Janulis. Nate, how you doing, buddy?
Oh, fine and dandy off a Stuttgart tie.
Oh, that Stuttgart tie is keeping you going. All right, we'll chat about that Stuttgart tie. We'll chat about a few other results from the past weekend. We got some news that we'll push out there as well if people aren't aware of a coach that was fired and hired. And then we'll look forward to the upcoming games for this coming weekend. Lots to get to in our Bundesliga chat time. Why don't we start, Nate, right there with some of that news and one of the results? Freiburg versus Wolfsburg. Freiburg 2-0 over Wolfsburg. Freiburg, one of the 6 undefeated teams currently in Europe. Take it to Wolfsburg, beat them 2-0. What were your thoughts on that game, buddy?
Well, Freiburg has been just fantastic this whole year. They really have. The game was pretty even, with Wolfsburg having some chances and just not being able to capitalize, and Freiburg capitalizing on their chances that they had. It was rather back and forth from that aspect. And Freiburg is they've really kind of been amazing right now, for the fact that they are sitting kind of 5 wins, four draws, no losses. There's 3 perfect record teams right now in the Bundesliga. They're the one that's a good perfect record, and Bielefeld and Firth are the ones with a bad perfect record. So with no wins. But yeah, it was a good match, and I thought this was going to be a telling match for Freiburg, because for Wolfsburg needed a win.
Yep.
Obviously, as it turned out, they really needed a win, and they got a good squad. So if they were able to pull this off, you could definitely think as them as potential contenders to stay in the Champions League area. They're only 3 points out of first.
Yeah, I mean they're so Freiburg, they are 5-4-0, 5 wins, 4 draws, no losses, with a +8 goal difference. And you would think, with the news coming right after the loss of Wolfsburg firing their coach Mark Van Bommel, that they were doing poorly this year, but they're actually 4 wins, 1 draw, and 4 losses, and currently sit 9th in the table with 13 points. So only 13 games in charge for Mark Van Bommel, but apparently the higher ups at Wolfsburg were not happy, didn't like losing this game 2-0 to Freiburg, and decided that's it. In my opinion, there's got to be something else that was going on behind the scenes.
Well, the problem is their league form has completely dropped off the map. So they haven't won a game in the league in the last 5 matches.
Yep. Oh, I get it.
So they've been on a slide. Then you combine it with the Champions League not doing very well in the Champions League as well. When you add that to the picture. Van Bommel, I mean, it's kind of tough not giving a coach time. You always got to give him time. But I go back to why they're not in the Pokal this year anymore. And they're not in the Pokal, if you remember, is because their coaching staff basically added too many subs.
Yep.
So I'm going to say that again. They can't count. So I'm not very sympathetic for that. That was an issue from the start. How do you get knocked out of essentially your FA Cup or your league trophy? There's not 2 league cups in the Bundesliga. There's only 1. So the Pokal and your actual tournament Bundesliga Cup. So that is the second biggest trophy. Some of those that, because of how Dortmund is, how Munich is, that is the trophy to go after if you're a 2nd, 3rd, or 4th ranked team. And that was something that they should have targeted to try to get. They should have easily gone. I mean, they did go forward. They should have gone further. That was in the very first round of the tournament that they're in. They won the game. There was no problem. But then they turned out that they illegally subbed on a player and knocked them out. So from there, I think your coach is having to answer some tough questions. Yep. Then you don't do very well in the Champions League. You kind of drop form the last 5 games. The biggest surprise is actually who they replaced him with.
So yeah, I mean, we'll jump in. Just former Werder Bremen coach Florian Kohfeldt takes over the team the very next day, essentially.
I'm gonna just shoot a pop quiz at you.
Go for it.
If you were gonna replace this guy, and you're like, I really want to make a push, what win percentage would you hope that the coach you brought in with at their lifelong club, because he's only coached one place, would have?
I mean, you would hope that you're bringing in a coach that is somewhere above 60 or 70%, 700 mark, right? But
maybe because you'd settle for at least 50, maybe, right?
Maybe if I think he was a good coach to come in and take the team or grow players. Sure.
Yep. 35% win percentage.
Ooh.
Yeah.
No, that's not
50,
good.
38, and 55 is his all-time record in the team. You remember that he headed up the season that's caused them to get relegated. However, in that same season, they also did play in the Pokal. They went very, very far. So you can give him some credit there. But at the same time,
but you got him relegated.
You got your team relegated for like the first time in a long time.
Not someone I would want to come into my club.
No,
I'm just saying. You know what? It is what it is.
You'd hope the win record be a little bit better, right? That everyone could have a bad season. There could be things there. The oddity of this whole thing, if you ask me what the oddity is you're already playing. There's no reason to get rid of Van Bommel. There's nothing to lose. At least line up someone better. Make sure you have that someone better ready to go. I don't know if he's better. He doesn't have, if you're saying, hey, we brought in a guy who's more experienced in the Champions League because there's still an opportunity there, and there is still opportunity for Wolfsburg to move forward. Mm-hmm. Bremen was never in the Champions League, I don't believe, when Kohfeldt was coaching. So he doesn't have this vast 12 of Champions League experience. You're out of the Pokal Cup, which he did good in, and in the league, he's got relegated. So I'm not sure what added bonus this guy brings in other than he develops youth, and maybe he'll bring Josh Sargent into Wolfsburg. I don't know.
I mean, Wolfsburg are also a team mentioned that Pepe could be heading to. That may change now. I mean, we've heard several clubs that Pepe could be going. Ricardo,
because he's noted for giving Americans chances and having to move on to different clubs. I mean, and honestly, I think I've seen that. I think the Pepe move to Wolfsburg would be a bad idea.
Yep.
Because I think they're striker heavy.
Yep, we've talked about that before. Yep, absolutely. They're striker heavy, so he wouldn't get off the bench essentially because Pepe.
No, I think he could, but my point is if you're 18 and you're making a jump into Europe, you might as well go somewhere where you're going to be an instant starter to get the experience, and then go ahead to a different place where you're going to compete with a club that's better.
Absolutely,
that would be my view.
Exactly. All right. Well, one of the other games that we want to chat about here is the Rhine Derby. Finished 2-2, Köln versus Leverkusen. What are your thoughts on that one, buddy?
This was a very, very interesting game because Leverkusen was straight dominating in the beginday. They had 2 goals, the 15th minute and the 17th minute. They hit the upper post hard, which should have been a third goal. And they had Cologne on the ropes. And then something happened where there was the power of the Derby cap that the Cologne coach wears constantly, or his yelling, Baumgart just losing it in the locker room or something. I don't know. Cologne slowly started to come back into the game. And they actually statistically looked better than Leverkusen at the end of the day. They had 2 really nice goals from my favorite Cologne player. It should be everyone's favorite Cologne player, Mr. Anthony Modeste.
I think he is everyone's favorite.
Modeste.
Yeah,
man. He actually capped off this game with his 50th league goal, which was good on him, with an a brace, and was the man of the match. So it was a very, very good back and forth game. Actually should have had a third, just kind of missed the opportunity. And it ended in what I would say is a deserving team draw with Cologne coming back on Leverkusen there. So, which will hopefully not shoot my Stuttgart in the foot when they play them tomorrow in the Pokal, but that's going to be a tough one because absolutely. Cologne has been very good, and coming back from 2 early goals against Leverkusen just shows how strong they can be.
Yep. The last thing I'll say about that game is I had money on Leverkusen, and I was celebrating after 20 minutes going, that's money in the bag. And then I checked the score later and went, oh, crap, they tied. I lost money.
Well, and that's the beauty of a derby match like that, right? Leverkusen, I would say by all shape and form, are the better side on any given week. And in that day, and were for the majority of the game or a decent part of that game. And Cologne just kind of slowly crawled back. So
exactly. Yeah, it's a derby match right there.
Yep.
That's what it was. Let's move on. Leipzig taking it to Firth 4-1. Leipzig looking pretty good, man. Banging a ball in the back of the net. But Greuther Fürth are, we've talked about Greuther Fürth before. They're dead last, no wins. They've got a draw, 8 losses. They're getting relegated. They got a negative 18 goal difference.
Yeah, they're bad. They're bad. But the thing with Leipzig is they're kind of finding form in the league. Now they're not doing very well in the Champions League. Right. Yeah, fine, whatever it is, what it is. But I think what more importantly for them is they're still the Pokal. Mm-hmm. They are finding form in the Champions League or the regular league. They beat Bochum 3-0. They tied with Freiburg, who's undefeated. Pretty good tie. Mm-hmm. They beat Firth. They beat Hertha. They're kind of on a bit of a win streak here, and I think that's good. And it's good for them. The game itself, I thought Leipzig looked really good. I thought they were very entertaining to watch. They brought on Noval, who's a Spanish player, age 18, first time playing in the Bundesliga, and off his first touch of the game, scored his goal from the assist of Salbiza. And that's kind of neat to watch. You know, you're bringing in a player, you're bringing in youth, watching them develop. Kid comes in, beautiful cross from, Dominique there, right into the box, and he's just made a great run on the back end and scored. And that to me was all I needed to see out of this whole game, just to watch and see that Jesse Marsch has his team starting to march in the right way. I think
they're heading in the right direction. You're right, and even in the games they've lost in the Champions League, they've played okay. Their soccer's been good. They had a tough game there with Man City. Obviously, lots of goals, but you score goals against Man City, you're doing something right, and no one's going to stop them from scoring. So they've been doing okay, and it's good to see their form coming back in the league as well.
And then you got like guys like Lukaku, or this Lukaku kid who's been playing, this French player, who's come out of nowhere, who Marsch has kind of found and developed and made better. And that's the type of stuff that I would hope to see from him. And that's the type of stuff that they need to do in order to get better. Grow their talent that they have, spend money where it makes sense, and then slowly progress. I think losing Nagelsmann, they took a step back. And hopefully by the end of this year, they'll be about even and they'll be ready to compete again.
Agreed. 100% agree. All right, moving on. Dortmund versus Bielefeld. 3-1 Dortmund. Dortmund, man, I'm telling you, Jude Bellingham. Did you see this goal that Jude Bellingham scored in this game?
It's just like it's the beating of the upper end teams against the beating of the lower end teams in this league, this Bundesliga Chat Time. So Dortmund looked good. Bellingham's goal looked phenomenal.
But, that's got to be up for goal of the year. Just, folks, if you haven't seen this goal, Google it. Jude Bellingham goal. It was fantastic. Phenomenal.
But let's talk about who didn't play.
Yeah. The he's almost become a bit of a China doll.
That becomes Haaland. Ernie Haaland again is out with a hip issue. Now, Dortmund has a lot of attacking talent. They're able to take care of a midfield. They should be fine, and their matches next week, I think, will be okay. But the problem is if we're talking about a player who's going to demand high demands, you have to start to wonder if you can't even finish a couple months healthy, how much am I going to be willing to pay for you down the line? And you're a young player too. You should be basically rubber and bulletproof at this point. God only knows what's going to be like when you move down the stretch and Miles really starts getting in those bones there.
Let me put it this way. What the wages that he's going to be demanding that has been reported is going to be 500,000 pounds, 500,000 euros a week. So you're going to be paying 2 million pounds, 2 million euros a month for this player. And he's going to be sitting on the bench most of the time due to injury. It's not going to work. So he's got to figure out, because he's become a bit of a China doll, getting injured every other week. That can't happen. And teams are going to, but we both know that someone's going to take a chance on it, because the buyout clause is 75 million pounds, euros, whatever it is. Someone will take that chance, but then it comes down to the wages. So he's got to find a way to keep healthy. The example I want to give you is Ronaldo, 36 years old, earning 600,000 pounds a week at United. Regardless if he's playing well, he's playing poorly, whatever you want to say, he's 36. He's in shape, he's on the field, and he's available for selection every week.
And when's the last time that Ronaldo in his career has been out multiple months?
No, it hasn't happened in a while. And
early even at 36, he's durable.
Yep.
And I mean, trust me, I wasn't a big fan of that deal. But reality is 36, he's durable. He doesn't take much time off. He's not injured that much. Ray Haaland had injury issues last year, had injury issues this year. In the biggest game that they needed him in the year, the biggest game of the year, he was unavailable.
Yeah, it's I'll say it again. He's a China doll, and if I'm buying him, I'm very worried. So someone needs to figure that out, what's going on. It's not a good look. We can talk all day about that. I have no doubt. Let's move on. Let's move on to your Stuttgart. Stuttgart with a 1-1 draw there, my friend, against FC Union Berlin. What are your thoughts on that game with your Stuttgart?
Well, first thing, is a draw good enough for Stuttgart? The answer to that is against Union Berlin, who is sitting 5th in the table, who's been doing very well. And under the circumstances, yes. So remember, there are 7 starters that are still out due to COVID and injuries. They've been hit with a COVID bug. There's multiple players and a defender who got red card. So there is several players who are still out, who cannot play and who are not available. Practically a whole side almost, right? It started well, or Union Berlin started actually real well, and pinned kind of Stuttgart back. They kind of came back in the game. The dumbest thing that happened was the red card that Stuttgart got against Kazar, who Rennie Khedira, he fouled Rennie Khedira, good foul, whatever, got a yellow. 30 seconds later, went cleats up on Rennie Khedira. Now, I don't know if Rennie Khedira called his mom a bad name or something.
I was about to say, what did he say to his mom about his mom or his sister?
Why would you go in and attack like that? It was instantly red carded. Should have been red carded. It was the dumbest thing ever. But what was funny about that whole thing is they actually started playing better with 10 men. So they actually started coming back and playing better, a little bit better with 10 men. They got in, and again, their biggest thing is the youth players they had. This Foghair that they have from Denmark, 18-year-old kid who ended up scoring the game-winning goal, is now on record as the youngest player in Bundesliga history to actually score a goal at age of 18 and whatever days that he is. So good on Stuttgart for dragging out a draw against a fairly good team. Being 10-man down and dragging at that draw tie. Would have been better, absolutely, but under the circumstances, I'll take a draw. Now they got Augsburg coming up next weekend, and that is to me a must win. considering how bad Augsburg has been playing. Mainz pounded Augsburg like they owed them money on Friday and really made them look silly. So I'm hoping that this week when we play them on Sunday, it should be hopefully a decent win for us for that one.
Just to put some clarification around that, Augsburg currently 16th in the Bundesliga table, and they've got one game win. They've got one game that they've won, and they have a negative 13 goal difference so far in 9 games. So you're absolutely 100% right, Nate. Stuttgart need points from that game, and if they don't get points in that game, I'm going to be very worried for you, my friends. Very, very worried.
Now, the biggest problem is they lost a midfielder.
Yep. The injuries, the red cards, and COVID.
They should have Anton back. They should have their defender back who got a red card. And we'll go from there. Hopefully, again, some of these guys, I don't think they're cleared from the COVID and injury bug set yet. So they have who they have. I think the coach is doing a fantastic job under those circumstances. I think any team that is losing that many players, really, I mean, how do you lose 8 players that you can sit there and start? One of them being your starting goalkeeper, because of COVID. It's tough. You know what I mean? It's like he's battling through it, and I think they're still looking okay.
You'd rather play a team at the bottom of the table while you're like this, rather than a team in the top 3. Obviously, bottom 3 to the top 3. It's good timing.
They need to get through the spell, but I think he's doing a good job of managing the team under the circumstances.
Sure, absolutely. A lot of other games coming up this weekend. The other one I want to chat about, Dortmund versus Cologne. As we talked about, Dortmund, they got some defensive issues. I think Haaland's going to be out again. What's your thoughts on this Dortmund-Cologne game?
That's going to be a good game. That was one of my games I'm looking at for the following week as one of those must watches. Obviously Dortmund ranked second in goals. They're averaging almost 3 goals a match. Cologne's rated 6th in goals. They're almost averaging 2 goals a match. So they're not too far off from that. Cologne does have some defensive issues. I think Dortmund's going to be able to pull it off against them. But I think it's going to be a very close match.
It'll be a good one. Here's another good one. Here's another good one for you, my friend. Leverkusen versus Wolfsburg. So Wolfsburg, as we talked about, fired the coach, got a new coach, and then here comes Leverkusen, who like to run and gun and can put some balls in the back of the net. So he better hope his defense is solid and understand the tactics he wants, because it could get dirty real quick with some balls in the back of the net.
Yep, that is, they're third right behind Dortmund by like a point. Like Dortmund's 2.9, Leverkusen 2.6 goals per match. Leverkusen's going to come out flying. They want to get points. They're going to take advantage of this coaching change. Wolfsburg haven't kept a clean sheet. They haven't won a game in a long time. You're getting in a new coach. I don't care who you have. Yep. You got the 7-day turnaround's awful short. I predict probably a Wolfsburg kind of beating, and it has no reflection on anything other than you just got a new guy 7 days in. We'll see. I don't know. Maybe this guy can inspire the team real quick. You always have those flukes that happen. That coach comes in and somehow they look better. That only purely because you have a new coach that game, but the reality is, I think Leverkusen is going to put a hurting on them.
I think I'm going to put this as my lock of the week and put some money on Leverkusen, because they could put a beating on Wolfsburg here, who could be at 6s and 7s at the back with everything that's going on.
Yep, and they're not too far out of the pack too. Is within that top upper end of.
Exactly. They want to keep pace with those boys at the top of the table there. Speaking of teams at the top of the table, here come Bayern Munich playing FC Union Berlin. FC Union Berlin 5th, as we talked about. Bayern Munich 1st, 7 wins, 1 draw, 1 loss, plus 25 goal difference. They're just banging in the balls in the back of the net. This will be a pretty good game. I mean, we'll see if Union Berlin can stop them and get some points out of it. But if you're a betting man, you're putting money on a parlay of Munich winning and Lewandowski scoring.
So, I'm a guy who believes that Munich is one of the best clubs in the world, with one of the best players in the world, who should win the Blue de Four, in my opinion. Call me crazy, whatever. I guess what, Kevin De Bruyne also believes that Lewandowski should win the Blue de Four as well. So looks like him and I have something in common, other than great hair and amazing soccer abilities. Anywho, yeah, I said it. That's right.
You don't have great hair. I'm sorry.
Oh. So, but when I look at who Munich is playing from here on out the rest of the year, the question I have is that a Champions League side? And if the answer is no, then chances are it's going to be a win.
Yep.
I think Leverkusen could be a Champions League side next year. They might cause them trouble. Dortmund is one. They can cause them trouble. Wolfsburg is one. They can cause them trouble. Yep. If you're not in that contention, I look at you and say you're probably going to get your head punched in, because they're doing it. They're taking it to Champions League sides like it's nobody's business. Mm-hmm. So I would expect the same. Now, maybe Berlin can really put up a great game plan and pack it in and keep it respectable. Munich can do so many different things. It's not even funny. When they beat Hoffenheim this week, they subbed out Mueller and put in Choupo-Moting, a second striker with Lewandowski, and he still scored. So, I mean, they're just like, they have so many different players, and they're so talented with so many different changes they can make. It's insane.
Let's not forget, Munich do have a loss in the league this year. They are not.
They're yes.
I mean, they are beatable.
They are human.
They are human.
But I will say, unless you're what I would consider a Champions League contender, I'm not saying they will never lose again. What I'm saying is, if you're not in those upper echelon of teams, I think you're probably going to get just wrecked. Okay. Speaking of teams that have somehow beat Munich, the one of them, Frankfurt, Frankfurt versus Leipzig, yep, I think is going to be a very, very interesting match. Frankfurt is really struggling for wins. They're scraping at the bottom of that table. Leipzig is looking good. So you have a battle of basically two different teams and two opposite ends of the spectrums. It should be just a very, very interesting match and a very interesting matchup. Frankfurt, I think the only reason why the Frankfurt coach has not been fired is the fact that they're atop of the league in the Europa. So they're winning their Europa games and they're getting their ass kicked in their Bundesliga.
They've got
very weird.
They've got a single win in the Bundesliga. A single win. What? I mean, it's bizarre to see Frankfurt in 15th position. I know we're only 9 games into the season, but you've got 1 win, 5 draws, 3 losses. You've got to believe that at some point they're going to start putting wins together here, right?
I don't know, but at the same time, they're sitting top of their table within the Europa, and I think that's what's actually basically saving their job. Is that his job is that 2 wins, 1 draw, no losses in the Europa. And it looks like they're going to possibly move forward with that. If it was based on league and they were struggling in Europa, I think he would have been just out on his ass, just like the Wolfsburg guy.
Sure.
So it should be an interesting match. I mean, I'm hoping for a Marsh win. I always am, because I always want to see him do good. I really never was a Leipzig fan until Marsh joined that team. I always liked him, but now I'm just rooting for him all the time. We'll see. I mean, at the same time, Frankfurt's got to pull that nose up. Yeah. Is it going to be this week? Is it going to be next? Time will tell.
Time will tell. Lots of good games, man. Lots of good games coming up, and there's a lot of different storylines in the Bundesliga this year, right? Just a lot of different things happening. We've had the news break about Von Bommel being fired from Wolfsburg, how they hired the Werder Bremen coach, who you've let us know has a very poor win percentage. So that's another storyline to keep our eyes on. Frankfurt being down at the bottom, storyline to keep our eyes on. Can Dortmund, without Haaland, because he's out injured. Can they keep going in the direction they're going? Lots of different storylines. Love the Bundesliga. Love it.
And even though Munich is rocking and rolling, the table title race is very tight right now. No one has really pulled away. Munich is 22 points, Dortmund's 21, Freiburg's 19, Leverkusen 17, Union Berlin is 16.
Yep.
I mean, they're, your fifth place team is only 5 points out. Yeah, that's right. 5 points out. Had to do some math. And everyone else is right there. A slip up happens and everyone's right back in it. So
yeah,
it's tight right now.
It's very tight.
Not to say that will be the ways down the stretch, but as of right now, it's still tight and very interesting. And I believe we're up to 300 goals scored within the Bundesliga so far this year. So goals galore.
Yeah, it's definitely, man, some of the goals that have been scored in this league this year, just absolute cracking goals. I mean, I want to go back. I want someone to put together a compilation of the top 100, top 50 goals so far, and you'd be surprised because any one of those could have won a goal of the year in previous years. There's some great goals been scored.
And then you look at young talent. You got the Bellinghams, this Lukaku. Hell, the Spanish Nova kid that came out and scored for Leipzig. I mean, these all, they're young. They're kind of the future in the European leagues. Don't care whether they stay in Bundesliga or move on to EPL or even Munich or stuff. These guys are stars, future stars in the making.
Absolutely. All right, buddy. We'll wrap it up for this week. Another great Bundesliga chat time. Thank you again for your expertise. You've got that. I've got this.
Oh, rocking the 13th. 13th is.
You're in. Okay. Yeah. I say Stuttgart, my friend, is also in 13th. So
we're all in 13th. 13th is a lucky number, man. 13th going on first. 13.
All right, buddy. Take care.
In Europa.
We'll do this. Yeah, we'll catch it. How about the Europa Conference League?
Hell yeah.
Yeah, that's where we'll get it done. All right, buddy. Until next week, we'll talk then. All right. Cheers.
Pros.